Hello, dear learners, and welcome to today's session. So today we are going to understand about functions in C programming. So we are going to see that how you can use functions in C program. So basically, the first question that comes to mind is what is a function? So a function in C is a block of code that performs a specific task. So basically, it is a self-contained block of code which is designed to accomplish a specific task. So you can consider it to be a mini program within your large program. So what is the advantage? Number one is code reusability. That means you write a piece of code only once and you can use it in any program that you wish. Number two is modularity. So it helps in breaking down a very big program or a problem into some smaller pieces, or we call them as modules, so that you can work on different modules. And the third is maintainability. Since a bigger problem is divided into different modules, so it is easy to organize code logically for easier updates. So let us understand this with the help of this particular diagram. So here, as you can see, that the objective is to build a calculator. So this is our bigger problem. So what we do is that we divide this bigger problem into these specific smaller parts. Since a calculator has these operations, add, subtract, multiply, and division, so we break it down into four different modules. You can call it as module 1. So this is module 2, module 3, and module 4. Now what I can do is that I can distribute these modules to different students or different programmers in my team, and everyone will work separately on each of the modules, and then I combine them together into the main program. So what is the advantage we have is that suppose there is an issue in the module division, so we can go to this module and correct it. So we don't have to look for the entire code. We can go to a specific module where the issue is and we can solve it, and our program or the software for the calculator will work fine. So this is called modular programming, where we divide a big problem into manageable modules. And each module in itself is a piece of code. So why function matters? This is because the function transforms how we write, organize, and maintain code. As we have just seen now, that it unlocks modularity, efficiency, and professional quality programs. So it helps in enhanced organization of the code. That means you break the problem into some manageable modules. Secondly, it simplifies debugging because you can isolate the issue and quickly know exactly where the problem is. There is a team collaboration. That means you can work simultaneously without code interference, as I have shown you in the case of calculator. So everyone in the team will be working individually in one of the modules, add, subtract, multiply, or division, and there is improved reusability. So once a module is written, I can call it in any program and use it. So we have already seen the inbuilt functions. In the previous video, we have seen that how we can use the string functions. So the codes for string concatenation, string copy, string length are already written, and we have just called them in our program and used them. So that is called reusability. Now, these functions are of two types, inbuilt and user defined. So now we are going to learn how we can create a user defined function. So what are the core benefits? Code reusability, problem decomposition, and better organization. So let us understand the anatomy of C function. So every function follows a precise structure with four essential components. So these components are: number one, return type. That means what is the value returned, whether it is an integer, float, or double. And if it is returning nothing, then we can use void. Then function name. So this is a very unique identifier which describes the purpose of the function. Then parameters. That is the input value declared within the parenthesis. So a function can be with parameters or without parameters. And the function body, which is written inside the curly brackets. Now, this is an example of a simple function. So we have got a return time, function name, parameter list. This is the body of the function and the return value. So what are the key elements? Number one is the return type. Number two are the parameters and the body, where we write the instructions. So let us understand this with the help of a C program. Now consider this particular program. So this is a function without parameters and return value. So remember, whenever you see these brackets in front of a name, that means it is a function. So main itself is a function, and it is the first function when you write a C program. The purpose of writing main is that whenever compiler compiles the code, it searches for the main to begin the compilation. So if it doesn't find the main, it is not going to compile anything and it is going to show errors. So that is why we write the main function first. Now this is the function call. So this is a user defined function. Why? Because we are defining this function here. The function name is greet. There are no parameters within the parenthesis. Now, when this function is called, the control is passed to this particular function, void greet. Since this function is not returning any value, it is just printing a particular output. Therefore, the return type is void. So once it prints or does it work, the control is again returned to the main. So that is why I am giving here a printf statement that after the function call for you to understand the concept. So let us execute this code. So as you can see in the output that it is saying hello, welcome to function in C. That means this function is called and it is printed. Once the printing is done, the control is again returned to the main, and that is why it is printing this particular statement that I have written after the function call. That is after the function call. So remember, when a function is called, the control is immediately transferred to the function, and when the work of that particular function is over, the control is again returned back to the main. So it will go to the next line after the function call. Now this is a function without parameter and return value. Now consider this example. Here it is a function with parameter but no return values. So this is my function and there are two parameters, int a and int b. So I'm going to pass values to these particular parameters. So this is the name of my function, print sum. So in the main program, I am calling this particular function and I am passing the values 5 and 10. So 5 will be passed to A and 10 will be passed to B. And my function, it is just printing the sum of the two values. So this is how the values of the parameters are passed. Now let us execute this particular code. Now you can see here that the sum is getting printed. So 5 plus 10 equal to 15. Again, this particular function is not returning any value because it is just printing here. Therefore, I am writing void. So this is a function with parameters and without any return values. Now consider this particular example where the function is without any parameters. There are no parameters here, but with return type. That means it is returning a value. So in the main function, I am calling the function get number, and since it is returning a value, I need to store this value in a variable. So I'm using int x to store this value. So whenever this function call is made, the control will be transferred to this function, and this function is returning a value 42 which will be stored in x. And in the main, what I'm doing is I'm printing the value of x. So let's execute this code. So you can see the output. The output is 42, the value returned by the function. So this is an example of function without parameter but with return values. So this is an example of function without parameter but with return values. So let us see this example. Now this is a function with parameters and return values. So function has a parameter and function is also returning a value. As I have already explained that when a function returns a value, we need to store that value in a variable. So in this case, I am declaring int result. So whatever value is returned, it will be stored in result. So int result equal to multiply 6 and 7. So this is the function call and these are the values that are being passed, 6 and 7. So 6 will be passed to int x and 7 will be passed to int y. And this particular function is just multiplying these two values and returning the result to this variable result, and I am printing it in the main function. So this is a function with parameter and return type. So let's execute this. So you can see the output is 42. So I pass the value 6 and 7 and my function is just multiplying them x into y. So the result is 42. Let's see another example. Again, this is a function with parameters and return type, and this time what we are doing is that we are taking the input from the user. In the previous example, we just passed two values, but now we are going to take the input from the user. So I'm declaring two variables in main. So this is my main function. So I am declaring two variables int a and b, and I am getting the input from the user. And then again same, I'm going to call that function and I'm going to pass the values of a and b. So again, you can see here, instead of values, now in the function call itself, we have got the arguments a and b. These are not the values, these are the arguments which are storing the value that will be entered by the user. So these arguments are called actual arguments. So the value of a will be passed to x and the value of b will be passed to y, and these are called the formal arguments. So the arguments, when you call a function, they are called the actual arguments. And inside the declaration, the arguments are called the formal arguments. So when I'm calling this function multiply with these arguments, my control will be transferred to this function and it is returning x into y. So the result is stored in this variable result and I'm printing the result over here. So this is how function call is made with the argument and the function is returning the value. So let's execute this particular code. As you can see, it is asking me for the first number. So let's input the first number. It's saying enter the second number. So I enter the second number and you can see the output, the product is equal to 20. So these are different ways you can create a function. So the first one was without parameter and without any return value. The second one was with parameter but no return value, since we are printing inside the function itself and the function is not returning anything. That's why we use void. Another one where the function without parameter but with return values. So there are no parameters here, but it is returning a value. Whenever a value is returned, we must store it in a variable. Another one, the function with parameters and return values. So here the function is with parameters and with return values. So these are the different options with functions. So I hope this concept is clear. Please practice these codes. Thank you.